how do we bring in such an incredible discussion like that?
Like that?
Yeah,
Wow.
just like that. Today
Welcome.
we have another Basement Boys podcast. Some more basement banter going on. We have me, Matthew here. We got Antonio, and we got Justin.
Hey.
So this is the crew for the day.
Yeah.
As previously stated, we do have an incredible discussion that I think we'll really enjoy doing today, and I think you guys will all listen to. So, lore in video games is, I mean, because you're listening to it. You'll
And
enjoy
also
listening
it's
to
because
it,
it's all about what we do on the channel.
Yeah, exactly. This is
Hopefully.
It's all about gaming today,
Hopefully
boys.
this is
it's
right up
all
your
about
alley.
it's all about video games. And so the first topic we have is, again, lore. It's something that really sets up. It is the story and the whole essence of a game, I guess. Something story-driven at the very least. I think it's pretty important. I think we all have a really big focus on how lore affects the storytelling ability of a game. And yeah, if you guys have stuff you want to throw out about it, just begin speaking.
All right, you
go.
Justin.
You go. No,
you
you go.
See, we're already fucking
Go,
biting.
coward.
We're biting at the chains that are binding us
Yeah.
in
Alright.
order to begin speaking.
All right, so the thing about me is like my favorite thing about games. It's like obviously it's gameplay, but after that it's like lore. Like I know people like rate a lot of different things higher, but I don't know. I don't know. To me, I feel like lore brings the game to like a different level, where it's like if you're excited about the game, you don't only have to like wait to be playing the game. You can also look up different things about the game, know a lot about the game. And I don't know, it brings in something like a deeper meaning to the game, and I feel like that's pretty cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, lore, it generally, like, it's what ties the game together. Like, sure, if, like, a game has a nice story, like, that's always great. But the extra background stuff is what really makes the game feel alive. Like, you can have a great story, but, just a great story, you could be like, wow, that was really entertaining. But the lore really fills it out, fleshes it out. It gives it, like, that real feeling, you know?
Let's
I
take a
feel
game
like-
like Nier 1, for example. The original Nier.
Yeah.
Gameplay is absolute dog shit. From
Ass.
everything that I've heard, it's OD ass. But damn, that story, it's incredible. And it's what allowed for a second game to be made that actually had really good gameplay. It funded the second one, and it's a beautiful story is being told throughout the game, and it's able to take a garbage product to play to such great heights, to something that's critically acclaimed and loved and talked about by a bunch of people.
Well, I think that's one thing that's really interesting about, like, story in games is that it can make up for shortcomings in the game.
Absolutely.
You don't necessarily need an incredible story because you see something like Binding of Isaac or, you know, like Spelunky or something like that where, like, the game's just purely the gameplay. There's a very loose story. There's not really anything to it.
And then Justin's internet died.
We'll
we can
just,
have a little fun segment of the podcast here where we have Matt and Tone talk.
yeah.
So we can have
Going off of what we heard, Justin.
Whoa, time out. No, don't worry. We don't have to talk about anything video game related right now. What we can do here in this little side segment, it's like you know that the back at the barnyard meme where it's like the male segment with the pig.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's what's gonna happen right now. Oh wait,
Oh,
Justin's
that's-
alive. Never mind. That's the end of the
Exact-
male segment, boys.
What was happening in there?
So
don't
you
know.
you fell into the ether and died like
Yeah, of course.
immediately once you started your monologue. So me and Tone decided that we were gonna do a little male segment, but then the second we started it and we're gonna tell something funny, you came back.
We both had the same idea of like, oh, he cut out for a few seconds. Let's just keep our mouth shut because he's still recording.
So then it's
But
like
there was
8
this
seconds.
good, like 10 seconds of silence, and Matt was just like, I think Justin died.
Well, that is true. I thought you guys were sandbagging me at first. I was just
Well,
like,
that's
"Ooh,
what I'm
did-
saying. It's
did
like
I
at
mess
some
up?"
point you reach the part where like he
Did I say
thinks you're
something bad?
sandbagging him, and it's just like, yeah, no, you said something good, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
no, I
can you
kind of trailed off
can
at
you
the end,
say
which
can
is
you say
unfortunate.
the something
Well, I
good
mean,
again?
it's the nature of the podcast where if you trail off, we're there to usually pick you up. But
Mhm.
yeah, say what you were saying again, and then we can, or just edit over. I don't know, do whatever you want.
Just tell us the last thing you said or the gist of it. and
Where
then we
did
can
it cut
re-edit
off?
it.
I literally like you
As soon
started
as I-
saying something, and then
Okay, so I'll just cut that part, I guess,
you
and
got
we'll.
voided.
Yeah, I got voided. So what I was saying was basically you have games like Binding of Isaac or Spelunky where there's no story
Yeah,
really.
you cut off at Spelunky. That's what
Yeah,
it
you
was.
cut off at
the word
Spelunky.
Spelunky. So that's the
Okay,
point.
so-
Okay, continue.
Yeah, so like games like that where there's basically no story, like they have just like a very basic. They say like you're here because like whatever, like Isaac is just like, oh, your mom's crazy, she's trying to kill you. That's
Yeah,
all
like,
you need.
Like an explanation for actions.
But then that's really all you need if the game has incredible gameplay. But it would still greatly enhance the game if there was better story.
Yeah.
But then also, like I think with Binding of Isaac, it might actually detract from the game because it's so fast. Like I don't know if having more story would necessarily be better for that game.
Yeah, I guess there are situations where more story might pull away from what you're trying to do, and just like for roguelites, I guess it's fast-paced stuff like that that doesn't really require much story. I'd say.
But the thing about Binding of Isaac I really like is so when you're the game has its own like lore built in, which I think is pretty cool. Like a lot of communities, I think also another thing is like a lot of communities. There's like two different types of lore in games, right? It's one made by the community, and then there's one made by the actual creators.
So would you define it as like stuff that's said, stuff that's specifically stated, and stuff that's not specifically stated?
Yes.
Okay. I'm kind
Yeah.
of lost there. All right.
Yeah. So like Skyrim, like, or I'll do you one up, like Dota. A
Yeah.
lot of the lore is based on the game because there's so many descriptions, right?
Yeah.
Like on the items and all that stuff. So a lot of the lore is based on the game, and it's given to us through Valve, right? But for Isaac, they give you like pictures and they give you a little bit of story, and other than like the beginning segment of like just explaining what the game is, you don't get anything else in terms of lore. Where like, yeah, it doesn't have too much lore, but you still could paint the picture of what's going on with Isaac. But a lot of people like took steps to see what happened,
Yeah, it's
Like,
like
they
logical
didn't-
leaps.
Yeah, they didn't. Nobody said, okay, Isaac. This happens to Isaac. I don't want to say anything because spoilers. I don't really know if like spoilers still exist for Binding of Isaac because it's been so long. But if you haven't
I
played
think
it,
it's
like,
relatively safe.
It's like the Berserk clause where it's like, okay, once it's been about 20 years since this thing happened, you
Well,
can see
yeah.
anything on it.
You
on the
can't.
internet,
Yeah,
it's
you
fine.
can kind of say whatever.
Yeah, I mean,
I think
but
it's fine to talk about Binding of Isaac.
Okay, so like it doesn't say that Isaac dies, but like you assume it because of the pictures that they give you and like
Yeah,
the logical
because-
leaps, right?
If you see, like, if they're showing you that he goes into the chest and then they're showing you Blue Baby, it's like, oh, he went into the chest and suffocated, and this is the character that you can play. That's him, but he
Exactly,
died in
and-
the chest.
yeah.
And
You know,
that's like
it's implied
lore.
stuff.
That's like
Yes.
lore that you just have to like pick out of
Absolutely.
like out of the box, and I think that's really cool, especially when
Clever.
when creators like. I think it's really cool when creators give you the lore because it shows that they really care and that they
Yeah.
really want something. But I feel like it's one thing to give you lore and it's one thing to force lore onto you. Like, oh, I
I
really
agree.
want my game to have lore, so I'm gonna make lore. Or here's lore in the game. Like, I feel like it's two different things. You know what I'm saying?
One kind of game genre that I think actually, I would say, it benefits from lore correctly done. Fighting games. I think that it's the essence of the fighting game is built purely in the gameplay, and you know that lore is done right within the fighting game if you actually care about it and enjoy it. Because there's a lot of fighting games that it's just like, okay, there's just some shit thrown on, like it doesn't even matter. It's like these people exist within this world, whatever. Go in, these are your characters, and you fight with them. And the lore is just kind of complete background information that doesn't particularly have any effect on the gameplay. But
Well, I guess how many fighting games can you actually say like you know what the characters are like outside of just like they like to punch things?
Skullgirls.
Well, yeah, like Skullgirls has some stuff. Like Under Night In-Birth has some stuff.
Yeah. In
But,
fact,
like-
Under Night In-Birth, the whole light novel that they've built for the game and latest, that exists as a precursor to like the arcade mode stories that you see, that stuff, man, I appreciate the fuck out of that.
Well,
Yeah, that stuff's interesting.
I'm gonna bring a game up that you guys don't even play, and like I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for bringing this up. But Mortal Kombat, like that game, like it's
No, the
story
story's on
mode,
that.
like
They're
the
very
story
long.
Yeah, no,
on that is like very long, you know.
Mhm.
I feel like there's a lot of lore built into that game, but
They've got a lot of stuff. Like if you go look at it, like it's very interesting.
Because they've got the whole thing. They've got like the whole switching of the cons and shit happening throughout the story modes for that. Like you got Shao Kahn going through, and then they come in and kill him in like MK9,
Kotal
I
Kahn?
think, and then Kotal Kahn comes up in MK10 to fill his role and shit.
yeah, I
That
think it's
kind
pretty
of stuff
interesting.
exists. Yeah,
I don't really know too much about the fighting game stuff because I'm still kind of new to it.
that's alright.
But like when I see for me, like I'm like we'll say I'm like the entry level, right? Like I
Okay.
just play
Mhm.
fighting games. Although I do really like lore games, when I play fighting games, I don't really see it too much. But that might just be because I
Well,
don't play
that's-
story
that's
mode,
all-
you know?
yeah. Yeah,
think
that
that's
you have to
just
go more into
because
story
I just
because you're not
kinda
gonna get
play.
much out of it.
Exactly.
when you're
lore of
playing the game and you see personality within the characters' moves that reflects on their
That too.
personality that's developed outside of the story, or within story stuff that's not shown just in the matches, that's huge to me. Because
That's one thing I really
characters'
like.
personalities shining through within their moves, like Squiggly. Take her as a big example of this. She's very fancy and I would say elegant when she attacks and shit. So you see it in like her standing medium punch, where she does a little pose and like Leviathan flies out of her head and like pokes and shit. You see that, it's like you just see her doing shit and you're like, yeah, I could see Squiggly moving around like that. It makes sense within the context of the character, and then they develop that character outside in story mode and in how she acts and talks and interacts with other characters. That stuff is awesome when it actually comes together correctly.
Squiggly Zombie Girl, right?
Yeah. And how she's like a singer outside in the story mode,
Well, before she
and how
got
that
all,
really
all blasted.
before,
with the gat
before she
and
got
everything.
blasted in the head. And
With the
then how
gat.
that shows up in her moves, and a
Specifically a
lot of her
gat,
supers
you know?
are based on that. It's a gat, yeah. If you really wanna dive that point in
Specifically.
and hurt me.
What's the
Specifically a
snake?
gat. Leviathan. He's a parasite that's also super elegant, and he's got a really good voice actor. And
Mhm.
he's basically just some demon that channels the power of a god to become a giant dragon. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So-
When we talk about, oh Matt, I have this picture of Squiggly dabbing. I'm just gonna let you know.
Oh yeah, no, we don't worry, we already have it pinned.
We got
we
plenty
are,
of.
we do.
We
Yeah,
got
no,
plenty of
I need
pictures
pictures of
Squiggly
every Skullgirl character dabbing. I also have
I'm
a
just-
funny
Send us
picture. I have a funny picture of Squiggly doing one of her supers is named Battle Opera, and there's one that says Squiggly's Battle Royale, and it's in the Fortnite font, and it's pretty funny.
It's pretty
Yeah.
strong.
Whenever we talk about this stuff, I'm just gonna look them up just so I can like, get an idea. But
That's-
yeah, also another fighting games character that I like that I'm talking about with like the lore is the person I play when we play Eunice, right?
Oh
That's,
yes.
That's
Byakuya.
Yeah, Byakuya. Like I remember when I first started playing him, like I would just talk to Justin and I'd be like, "Who's the chick?" Like with like who like it doesn't
Yeah,
make any sense.
Tsukuyomi, she's awesome.
It doesn't make any sense in terms of like why are you here?
Yeah,
but-
unless there's background built up.
Unless there's background built up. And like that's where the lore of it happens. But to me, like as an entry level, like I don't see like it doesn't get introduced to it because I haven't played the stories.
Would
you know?
you like
Yeah.
me to talk about her?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I already
That sounds
know.
interesting.
But
I
go
actually
ahead.
don't know either.
So I've fucking played like it's like 20 hours of story. I would love to divulge into everything that I know about that story. So
Keep it short for now.
Tsukuyomi is a
Mhm.
member of, basically under Night and Birth. There's the Hollow Knight, which happens, and a bunch of people that get bitten by a void, they lose some of their soul, but some of that fills up with this thing called you were gonna call it like, what's the name of the super? EXS. There we go.
It's
It fills up with the
existence,
existence, yeah. So it's ironic because it's supposed to be like the exact opposite of actually existing. It's supposed to be like you exist within the dream world at that point, not just the normal world. So a bunch of people go out into this thing called the Hollow Knight, and if they have a lot of existence, they can fight in the Hollow Knight and use cool powers. So there's a bunch of gangs that form in the story mode because they start getting these powers and just going out and beating the shit out of each other. It's like the state of nature, if you want to call it something.
Okay.
So they go out, they beat the shit out of each other, they make gangs. there's one gang headed by this dude Ogre. Ogre's dope as shit, and he has 2 chicks that he always goes around with. Tsukiyomi is one of those chicks. And the reason that she exists in the story to help with him is because her power is to amplify the EXS of everyone she's with. So they call her the battery, or something like that, because she fucking helps Ogre fight like a dope hype boy when his powers they are strong, but she amplifies them by like 50% just by being there. So she has a broken vessel because at some point, Amnesia and Ogre's group, Amnesia is the organization that Hilda heads. Amnesia and Ogre's group fought, and Hilda and Ogre beat the shit out of each other. And at some point in that fight, later on, like when they're escaping because shit goes horribly wrong, Tsukiyomi's EXS vessel breaks. So now she's roaming around the Hollow Knight trying to find Hilda and Amnesia and shit, and Byakuya finds her. And Byakuya has recently lost his sister in a car crash, so he's like depressed as shit, and he got his powers somehow through that because he was super depressed and like wanted to die, so his existence kind of faded. So he pretty much became a void naturally, which is really cool to me.
That's pretty
So
cool.
he gets his existence just by being depressed as shit, and then he meets Tsukiyomi, and he's got sister issues, and she needs help. She needs the help of a really strong EXS wielder to go through the night and find Amnesia. So they end up teaming up because of that. So she shows up in his fights because they're roaming around the Hollow Knight together all the time, and they're not seen separate. Because if Tsukiyomi was roaming around the Hollow Knight, she'd get her shit kicked in because she doesn't have a vessel that works right now.
Okay.
So yeah.
I thought from what I heard that Tsukiyomi was Byakuya's sister.
Yes, he calls her his sister because he's insane. And because he's
all
like
fucked up.
Yeah, because he's all fucked up and got sister issues at this point. So he calls her his sister and he roams around the night and he's cool with it because he's insane.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense though. Now, like I'm saying, now understanding the lore, like it doesn't change the gameplay, but I understand who this chick
it's more
with
fleshed out.
Byakuya is. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh wow, he's just going around with her. That makes sense. She exists now. She's not just some random fucking girl.
Yeah.
You know?
No, yeah. I mean that makes sense, and I feel like there's a lot of that, like in Eunice. I don't want to get too much like into it, but I
yeah,
feel like
this is
there's a
the
lot
Eunice
of
podcast.
things. Yeah,
There's so much, dude. I could
Yeah.
talk forever.
I know.
They wrote an insane amount of stuff
They
for that
did.
game.
It's ridiculous. They could write fucking like manga about it. I mean, Melty Blood is another game with really good.
I'm sure that at some point they will have
Yeah.
something like that.
Like Melty Blood has a whole manga. Like it has Tsukihime and then the Melty Blood manga, and all the characters from that and some Fade characters. Just that's that fighting game, and it's not really well explained within the confines of the game, but it's okay because that kind of lore exists outside of the game.
So
So
if
it's
we're
explained
talking
if you wanna
about lore,
check it out.
I feel like we have to talk about the granddaddy of games with lore, and that's Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, I wanted to touch on this earlier when Tom was talking about the explained lore, like specifically stated and not specifically stated stuff. Because
Well, that's
there's-
one of the most interesting things in Dark
Before
Souls.
Absolutely.
we go into that real quick, I just want to say one last thing on Eunice real quick.
Yeah.
And that's
Of course.
that's one thing that I've noticed whenever I load into a Eunice game. I always think it's really cool. Like I know it's like chopped English, but it has
yeah.
like the descriptions.
Oh
nonsense.
yeah, no, the nonsense. It's absolute nonsense.
It is,
but, yeah,
but the thing is, it's there. You know,
It
It's-
is.
it exists.
there.
It's actually a lot of the stuff that it's saying is reminiscent of the characters' personalities and shit. Like if
Exactly.
you actually look at it, it's like Byakuya. It's like he's a hunter. He devours in the night. Yeah, because he's literally
They
going
feast.
out. He's actually killing people and eating them to get
agree,
more
yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
Like that's dope. But it's fucking nonsense when you boot into the game and it goes, he devours a spider
Yeah.
under the night. It's just like it makes no,
No,
sense.
it says they nest.
Yeah, they nest in the night.
They nest.
I think it says somewhere in there they feast.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
there's a
it's
lot
just
of-
dumb
yeah.
shit. And it's like Wagner, it's like the flame tyrant. It's like, yo, it's dope, but this makes no sense unless
I
you
know,
just...
no, but it's like it's there, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, they made these entire nonsensical English paragraphs that pertain to the character somehow. And they just throw them on screen for 3 seconds. You have to record the game and then pause it in order to read that shit.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before, but a lot of Under Night In-Birth, it just kind of looks like there was a bunch of Japanese guys with encyclopedias
Yeah.
like sitting at a table, and they see a cool word.
That's
and
the
like,
staple
they're
of
like,
any anime
Yo,
fighter."
beast.
That's the staple of any
Yo,
anime fighter.
beast! And then Yeah, we were talking about it, Justin. Like, they were looking at the sources, and then they were like, "Nest, yes!" And then they pop champagne, because they think they did something so great, and then they get the next champagne bottle and keep going.
Yeah, they pop like they. Have you guys seen the video of the dude
The floor is sticky by the
he's
end.
trying to pop
Champagne.
he's trying to open some 40, and he's like hitting a hammer on the top of it, and he breaks the bottom against the wall, and he just looks at it after all the liquid's falling out and drops it and walks away. That's like what they do when they find a word that sounds fucking lame, but when they find the good word, they pop it and it goes yeah.
I have seen the video where the guy was trying to open a champagne.
Oh, it
bottle
was with the spade.
Shoe.
It was with the spade.
Oh no, I saw one where he tried to open like a wine bottle with a shoe, and he was like bashing it against the wall, and he doesn't look, and the shoe falls off, and then he bashes it against the wall, and it shatters.
That's a good video, dude. That's a good video.
All right, back to Dark Souls.
Yeah. So now we can
Dark
move on to the
Souls.
granddaddy of all lore in video games. It's a real treat.
I
All
think
right, Justin,
one of the
take us
most.
away on it.
Where are we starting with this?
Well,
In terms of
it's
like, are we
let's start,
explaining like the story of Dark Souls, or are we
No,
just
no,
gonna
no,
talk
that'd
about
be
like,
too
start logically
Just
on the
talk about-
separation between like told lore and untold lore.
Let's talk about why Dark Souls is like the greatest. You know?
Okay, yeah.
Like
Yeah, that's-
why?
That's pretty easy. So I think one of the greatest things is that throughout the story, there's so little dialogue. Like, it's very rare for someone to actually come up and tell you anything like story related. Like, it'll just be them just kind of shooting the shit with you. You know, it's just whatever they need you to do at the time.
Like the Crestfallen Knight, for example.
Yeah, like he's just sitting there, just being like, "Ah, you suck. You'll never do this. Haha, idiot."
And the reason is because he's trying to do all the shit
Yeah,
you're doing.
yeah, he's been doing this for years, just failing.
Yeah.
And you know, like you'll go to a blacksmith, all they want to talk about is what do you want, what do you need? You want to upgrade your shit, you want to repair your shit, what do you need? But there's so much lore on all the weaponry and the armor. Like you'll go and you'll like every item has like a paragraph long description about where it came from, maybe its significance, like if it's like blessed by a god or something. And you can kind of piece all this stuff together to create this giant overarching story about like a battle between the gods and the darkness and shit. It's incredible.
I think my favorite piece of Dark Souls lore, I think, came in either the second or the third game, and it was explaining this about. I think it was explaining a locket. Like, it was one of the starting items, and it was like it does absolutely nothing, and like it ends up legitimately doing absolutely nothing, and I think that's hilarious that a game. I think it's like a locket. I forgot what it is. But it's hilarious that it gives you, it's the pendant. They give you so many useful things as like a starting item, and then they just give you this one thing, and they tell you exactly what it is, and people are just like, oh well, maybe it does this, but no, it legitimately does absolutely nothing.
Oh, that's such a great item.
People traveled the entire Dark Souls map just attempting to use the pendant everywhere, and it's not like it's like a usable item or something. It's literally just something that sits in your inventory and does nothing.
Yeah.
But people explored the whole map. They were like, well, maybe if you stand in this spot with the pendant, something will happen. So people would explore the whole map with this pendant. And the reason behind that is because the guy who made Dark Souls, or the producer of Dark Souls, I guess, not the guy who made it, because, you know, obviously it was the whole team. But he sat there at an interview and someone asked, hey, what does the pendant do? And he's like, I don't know. Like, instead of... And so, you know, it's kind of sparked this whole thing where people were like, well, shit, clearly it does something.
But it did.
And, yeah, it just did nothing.
I really like that. That was like one of my
really great.
favorite things about like not even Dark Souls as a whole, just like Dark Souls lore.
And it makes sense because the team knows that the whole fucking community is gonna go to these extraneous lengths to figure anything out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's for that reason.
I think the coolest thing is that there's characters that don't show up in the game, like, at all. Like, they're briefly mentioned names by certain NPCs. It's like people have like made these giant maps of like how these characters connect together and stuff. It's incredible.
Dark Souls 2, I think, is actually the biggest proponent of that kind of stuff, where there's a lot of different characters that are like shown off screen that are like leaders of other fucking countries, even whatever.
Yeah.
That these that are main proponents in these giant wars that happen that you're barely told about. Like take the War of the Giants for example. Like you only see the giants at all in the game as dead bodies, and you only see 3 of them. And you go into the past and you get a bit more lore about them later by going through memories of like the giant tree seeds, but it's very limited on what you hear about them yet. You get so much incredible information on all of them just by piecing together bits and pieces of item descriptions, things that people say, the dead bodies here and there. It's a real treat to see people do.
If I had all the money in the world, and I could literally do whatever the frick I want,
Whatever the frick.
yeah, whatever the frick, I would.
Whatever the darn heck.
I would honestly like to piece together lore of a game. That's
Just
cool
hire
for me.
like 12 bodies to work together.
Dude, Vadi
Yeah.
Vidya, we have to talk about him. He is incredible. He does some crazy shit with the amount of time that he devotes to making videos explaining the lore of Dark Souls. There's a bunch of other channels that do it. I don't want to discredit them either. Vadi is the only one that I've watched personally, so it's the only one that I can comment on. Dude's a god. He makes so much shit, pieces together item descriptions, has his whole Patreon set up. I'm pretty sure I don't know if he works or not. I think he does.
I'm sure at this point he probably doesn't have to.
Yeah,
He's got a pretty successful channel.
yeah, he's got a great channel. His Patreon works awesome for providing for him. He does a good job making lore on every single Dark Souls and Demon Souls game. So it's only
Did he do Bloodborne?
Yeah, he's done Bloodborne too, but
Cool.
he's covered the whole map of what FromSoft has given out so far. And I think he's moving into Code Vein and Sekiro. Once Sekiro Shadows Die Twice comes out.
Code Vein's not FromSoft.
Oh, yeah, it's Bamco. Yeah. He's done some Code Vein gameplay stuff, but
I mean, if you're good at that stuff, that's welcomed by everybody, you know? It's not even like game developers gonna be like, shut up, all right, we can't be doing this.
this is the kind of stuff they pray happens.
Yeah, everybody wants that to happen.
Mhm.
You know, everybody everybody wants it to happen, but going back to what I was saying, it could be forced and then killed, where it's nobody really likes it because it was forced, and then it can come naturally. And I feel like that the Dark Souls lore was kind of nudged on by the creators, but it was done so well that it just caught on and just took off, to be this amazing game, this amazing lore paradise for a lot of people that enjoy that kind of stuff.
At the end of the day, we don't even know if any of the lore's correct that's been developed, It could all be it could all be false. But the fact that we accept so much as true going forward, and then referencing new lore that's developed in new games to old lore that we've created for previous shit based all on logical connections, it's fucking incredible.
Yeah. And going back to lore creators, I don't want to keep going away from Dark Souls, but one of the major lore creators that I watch, the lore YouTubers that I watch, is Sir Action Slacks on Dota.
Does Slacks do Dota? Does he do lore?
Yeah, he does.
Loregasm.
It's called Loregasm.
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah, you should watch
Okay.
it. I've been trying to get Justin to watch it, but he's never had time to do
Probably
it.
I got no time.
Yeah, I know. And
One day I'll watch it though. I'm gonna sit and binge watch him.
He has 13 episodes out, and it's just it's such a good. He does such a good job of taking apart all of the items and all of the bios and all that stuff, and just bringing it into this plausible lore that's not even supported by Valve anymore. Valve doesn't do item descriptions anymore, right?
Is it
it's not
outsourced,
only
or do they
it's
just not?
No. They used to, but a lot of the newer items they don't have anymore because they don't make a lot of the newer items. They get them from, they get the items from the workshop, right? But the new lore comes in with the Arcanas because they do the Arcanas.
Yeah.
What they
they
do.
can write the story however
That's
exactly
one
what
thing
they want.
I very
Exactly.
respect about Valve is that whenever they release a product, they really do their best to try and polish it to the best degree possible.
Yeah, they do. They do a really good job.
The issue is that they sit on their ass and they don't release most of their products.
Well, it's because of how Valve is structured. like where there's not really any bosses and you're free to go work on whatever you want to work on. So what happens is, like, whenever they're making a new game, a bunch of people are like, oh, well, I'm kind of getting tired of working on this game. I'm going to go work on whatever, I'm going to work on Artifact. So a lot of things kind of get left, like, half-built. Like, well, it's probably what happened with, like, Left 4 Dead 3. Like, I'm sure there's still, like, 2 or 3 guys chugging along, slowly building Left 4 Dead 3.
Yeah.
But,
I want that game to come out eventually.
Hopefully one day.
Well, that could explain the Valve controversy of, what's 3, like
The hell is a 3?
Yeah, like because a lot of the Valve games are just stop at 2. And maybe that's because like people get bored of like building like a game, like being part of a game, that they just move on before they hit that third game, I actually never knew that about Valve, that it's like free based. That actually makes it kind of special, like games, like Valve games that have survived and like have thrived.
It's because
it's really what they love.
Developers
it's
really
what
care
they love. Yeah, I mean that's crazy. I didn't even know about that.
I didn't either until right now.
I mean, it's good for the games that come out, but like it's definitely not the most efficient way to work, obviously.
Yeah.
Because if you just have some guy and you say, like, you hire a guy and his job is to make like designs for like just random mobs in a game or something, he might not love what he's doing, but at the end of the day, you're gonna have mobs made.
And you're gonna get shit done, yeah.
Yeah. But at Valve, maybe, that might be like the last thing that gets done because they simply hired a guy at some point and he really loves making random enemies or something. So do you guys think there's any games that have done lore poorly?
That's a good question, actually. Done lore
Because
poorly.
I personally, I think Overwatch, how they're handling it is kind of shitty.
Oh, yeah.
Because they keep retconning things and
they
just writing over things that they've done in the past.
Character
like they'll just like randomly change the story just because it's like, oh well, this doesn't fit with what we wrote right now. Instead of rewriting it, let's just say, oh, that old fact, who cares about that? That's stupid.
I feel like a lot of the newer big games are kind of trying to, like, they see like what happens with lore and they try to like force it. Like I personally, I don't know too much about Overwatch lore because I don't play too much Overwatch. But from what I remember about League of Legends lore, like I feel like just having, like, with the bios, they have these like novels. I thought it was really weird how they have like these giant, like these giant like essays worth of bio for like one character. Like maybe that's good. I don't know. I'm not too much into League of Legends, but the thing is, it's like do you need that much given to you to be interested in the lore?
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. Like I feel like lore needs like lore is like it's a two-way street. You like you can't get lore from anything, like Pong, like the old Pong games, like there's no lore in Pong, right? But there's like you need something given to you by the developers, but I also feel like the community needs to come behind and kind of make some logical leaps and bring a deeper meaning to what you give them. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with like giving deeper meaning, but I mean, there are games that run perfectly fine with lore that's pretty much only shit that's stated throughout the game, and it still ends up being a good storytelling product. You can
do it, but it's much harder.
I'm trying to think of games that actually do that right now. Stuff where you don't really have to make any leaps for yourself.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the more is actually confirmed in the game, the easier it is for background stuff to become like incorrect almost.
Yeah.
Like you get stuff that contradicts each other.
Yeah, that's just like being verified, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a bad thing for a lot of stuff.
I think one game that actually does lore correctly, and both of you guys are gonna laugh at me right now, but I think one game that does lore pretty cool is Fortnite.
No, I agree.
and like
They've been
Fortnite,
following like a consistent thing.
Yeah, they've been following this consistent thing, and they've been making this story, and they've been making this whole thing where it's like it's a battle royale. Like you're not gonna get that in PUBG, you know? Like
Yeah.
there's no lore in PUBG, but for Fortnite, they're getting to the point where they're changing the map as you play games. Like right
Yeah, no,
now,
it's
while
interesting.
we're playing, like right now while I was playing earlier, like the map is actually like there's a thing in the map where some land blew up, and like not blew up but like rose, and like it's like in a vortex, and the vortex is actively moving while you play the game. And it's weird how they make the games, like they change the map during like your gameplay.
That's like
But
the
like I think
stuff
that's
with Lean
pretty
Lake,
cool
right?
how like they're like what?
With Lean Lake. You know, the giant purple cube that fell into Loot Lake and now made it all squishy.
Well,
Made it
it's
all
not
lean.
squishy anymore.
It's not made of lean.
No, it's still, now it went back to water because the Loot Lake house, it rose out of the ground and has a vortex now.
Oh,
Now what you have
I
to
did
do
not know that.
is you go into the vortex and it pulls you up on top, and then you can jump off the top, and you can like use your glider and fly to different places.
And so that vortex
That's cool.
is moving.
It's
Like, say,
moving. It's actively moving.
Okay, it's actively moving, and like that's the same in every single match that's happening.
Like okay, so you load up, right?
Yeah.
And it moves 2 inches to the left.
Uh-huh.
And then the game ends and it's 2 inches to the left. The
Okay.
next game you load up, it will be 2 inches to the left.
Okay,
and
so
then
yeah,
it
so
will
that's
move 2 more
actively
inches.
happening the
But
same
it's
in
consistent,
every,
like,
it's
every
consistent in
single
every
game?
single map.
It's consistent.
Okay.
That's really cool, honestly.
Hmm.
That's
think
what I'm
that's-
saying. That's really cool, and it's part of the
Mm.
lore. Now they don't really. Now Epic Games doesn't really give you like, it just tells you all this stuff is happening. It doesn't tell you why this stuff is happening. It just says, okay,
Mhm.
this is happening. And I think that's like Valve giving you like the item descriptions, right? They're giving you, okay, this is happening. They're not telling you why it is. They're letting the
Yeah.
community go out and seek, okay, why is this happening? And I think that's why lore goes hand in hand. Epic Games is basically saying this is happening. Like, this is the verified stuff. This is happening. And then the people are like, okay, why is this happening? Okay, let's take some logical leaps and go look at why this is happening. You
I
know?
think that's always going to exist. I rescind my earlier comments because I realize that in any good told story, there's always things about the story that are going to be untold, which is kind of what makes it genuinely good. And the stuff that allows the community to kind of play around and be like, ooh, what's the reasoning behind this? It's like in any good book, there's always a bunch of different motives for one person to take an action, and it's always up there for the readers to say, okay, he did this more so because of this rather than this, you know?
Yeah.
That stuff will exist in anything. So I agree that any good story does require that amount of malleability to it, as much as solidity.
Mhm.
That's just going to exist because it's good.
Yeah, I agree. But Justin, going back to Overwatch, why do you think that it wasn't done well?
We strayed a lot from that,
Is
but
it just because
What's happening with Overwatch? I don't follow it too closely, so they could have been correcting this recently. But a big problem people had was that they were just kind of dumping this stuff, and it didn't necessarily go along with what was said in the past. Like, they would just contradict themselves, or like just completely change stuff. Like, they changed like Diva's age and like stuff like that. Like, they'll just like randomly, like originally she was like 16, and then they were like, oh wait, she's 18 though. And like there was no, they'll just like change little facts about things to agree with what they wrote in the present.
Do you think
which
that comes up with
is-
being politically correct?
Well, I'm sure that was because of like the Diva, like all the porn stuff for Overwatch, but I can't really think of any specific examples because again, I don't really follow the Overwatch
Wait,
lore
time
too
out.
much.
You're saying that they made a character legal so that it's cool for people to draw porn for it.
No, because there was all the porn.
That's OD.
Because like Overwatch happened, like they released like the original like concept stuff. They showed off the characters, and everyone was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
let's draw porn."
So
Well, I
what
mean,
you're
that's
sa-
just gonna
and
happen
then
with like every
so
yeah.
they couldn't stop it. So instead of instead of saying no, that's wrong, she's still 16, they pulled.
Well, I think it was just kind of to save their own asses more.
Well, I don't think. I honestly,
To
They have no part in that though. They don't.
yeah, they
anything
can't be
to-
held
Yeah,
responsible
but
for that.
you never know what's gonna get brought up as like a big thing on the
That's so
news.
weak-spined, in my opinion.
You never know what's gonna become a big story on the news. You know.
But here's my thing, right? You like going off of like, oh, she's 16 now, she's 18, right? Going off of that, do you think they used that as like a way of making like different skins? Like let's say
Oh,
they
you
make a
mean like
skin,
maybe something that's a little more sexualized?
it makes maybe something that's a little bit more revealing, right? So they make a
Yeah.
skin, but then somebody says, oh, but because they're making the skin, like it's not like somebody else is
Yeah.
making it,
Yeah.
they're making it. So if you say if you make a skin, right, and then they say, oh, somebody brings it up and they say, oh, she's 16, then they may be able to get sued over that, so they
Mhm.
changed her age.
Yeah.
But I'm
You know, that
looking,
could be
I'm
it.
looking at like diva skins. Like I was kind of thinking about this in
Pretty
advance.
sexualized.
I'm looking at diva skins. They're not really that bad.
I mean, they're,
To-
yeah,
like,
they're
I
they're
think-
not like showing tits, but it's like it's tight skin stuff, which I think
Yeah, I
is
was
it's a
gonna say,
different type of.
They might have
sexualization.
realized that having the 16-year-old girl running around in a skin-tight suit might not have been a smart move on their case.
Mm.
So they were, they're just like, oh, let's bump that age up a little.
It's very weird because they do this thing. It's a very Blizzard move of them to make something that they want to be specific, kind of appeal to a bunch of different populations. If you get what I'm getting at there, it's like if they want her to be 16 and in this outfit because they think that fits, that's cool. But they're compromising on a lot of stuff to just kind of cover their own ass in a bunch of different categories. Like, if
Yeah.
they're saying maybe, oh, this might be a bad idea, then they make her 18. It's like, okay, that kind of reduces some of the integrity of the character, though, at the end of the day. And what's more important to you as a company? Is it the integrity of your lore, or is it covering your own ass in the eye of the public?
Well, I don't think it takes away the integrity of the character. I think it just takes away like you're basically saying you're basically like giving in, and
Yeah,
I
there's-
think it's more of like a lore thing than the character, because like honestly, whether or not she's 16 or 18, that's not going to change the amount of time she gets picked in game. Like it's
Yeah.
not
Yes.
changing her character. It's changing like, are
No.
you reliable when we're talking about lore? Like,
I mean,
can
character
can I
is her
look
as a
up?
person.
Yeah, can I look up Diva and have verified like actually good information on like what she is? I know it's like she plays StarCraft, right? That's her thing.
Actually, I was looking up stuff for more examples, and that was actually something they retconned, was that she
What?
was a StarCraft pro.
See, okay,
I'm not
that's,
sure why,
Why?
but they took away that thing that was introduced, and then with their recently introduced character Bridget, or I guess not recently introduced anymore, it's been a good amount of time. Something that they said with her made it so Mercy would have been like 9 when she was born, and like just completely like kind of like ruins the story, because it's like, oh, well, she's supposed to be like 40 years younger than Mercy or some shit like that. But they just kind of fuck up stuff, and just rather than writing accurate stuff the first time, they just kind of change it afterwards and be like, oh, well, yeah,
You always, in a story, from a storytelling standpoint, always suit new material to fit the old stuff, because it's so
Yeah.
much harder on yourself to fix, because you can't fix old stuff. That pulls away from your story.
And then you build different timelines.
And then you build different
Yeah.
timelines, and then we all know what happens when you build different timelines. One character's a girl in 7 parts of the show, and then the next she's a dude in the other ones. It's like it just
And I'm also looking at Diva's age, and she's 19 now, so something
What?
there was another change.
Mandela effect, woo woo.
Yeah, there's another change, but like it says professional gamer. I remember because when
She was a
when
StarCraft
Overwatch. But the thing is, it went deeper than that. She was a StarCraft player that played all 3 factions and has never lost a game.
Yeah.
That
I
was
remember
her
specifically sitting and reading it.
thing. That was her thing. But
It
now
specifically
it says
said that
professional
her
gamer.
chosen class was just, or her chosen race was random too. Like
Yeah,
that was
because she's
that
that
was a
good
big
at
part
it.
of it. Yeah, because
Yeah.
she was just good enough where she just picked whatever the fuck, she just randomed every game
Yeah.
and would just stomp you into the ground.
But the first line of Diva's bio: Diva is a former professional gamer who now uses her skills to pilot a state-of-the-art mech in defense of her homeland. So they totally went away from like she's a former professional gamer, but she was really good at it. Now it's just, oh yeah, she played games. I think that takes away so like you
Yeah,
just
because
cut
there's
an
meat
entire part of her lore, and I hate that.
There's meat
Yeah.
there. That's being it's fucking vanishing. You know?
Yeah.
Like what
And
else?
that's
what else could
something
be
that's like
retconned?
kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I agree with you now, Justin. Now that I'm actually, I didn't even know this was happening, but now that I know, I agree with you. Like I think Overwatch, I think Blizzard is doing a really crappy job with the lore of Overwatch.
And even how
But,
they
I mean-
develop their characters initially is pretty shitty to me. Just because like there's like, oh hey, let's throw darts at a fucking board that has different archetypes on it, and then
Oh, you
make
mean
a
like
character
Robo
based-
Ninja?
Yeah. Like three
Or
different. Oh,
Doctor.
pick 3 different archetypes, guys.
Mhm.
Let's not make original characters that have their own flaws and stuff in any way. Let's just These characters have already been made. They're a shell. They're not a real thing. Like that with Diva. With Diva, there's meat there. Sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
there's something that exists there. There's a person. When you say, "Oh, this is her favorite game," this is what she does. She plays StarCraft and she randoms and kicks your ass. That's a person. You take that away, she's a gamer. Oh, you go one step removed. That much less of a person.
Mhm.
Making
Yeah.
something feel tangible and real when you're developing a character. You can't back out on that stuff. That destroys the
I wonder why they
integrity.
changed that too. It's just such a weird change to make, like from professional StarCraft player to just gamer.
Yeah, it's their game. They have
Like,
no
why I
reason
don't
not to.
understand. Yeah, it's not like they had to like pay for the rights to say she was a StarCraft player.
Yeah,
But also,
it's
that's
just like, why would you intentionally detract from your own story? Like, just make it more vague. I don't understand.
and I don't think that Blizzard is saying we want to separate our games because Heroes of the Storm has Hanzo in it.
Yeah,
right?
Heroes of the Storm
Well,
has
yeah,
Hanzo,
it's just
Junkrat,
it's
Genji.
it's like all their
They have a
like
bunch of heroes.
most enjoyed characters.
Yeah.
So that's basically Blizzard saying, hey, we don't care if our games mix. But now you're throwing this and you're taking this out, and that confuses me.
Which is a game.
Well, I don't see why
a
it's
game
even a
based on
big deal
games
though.
mixing. Yeah, exactly.
Like, why would it matter if she was a StarCraft player or not? Like, what? Like, how does that?
I can see the age thing, but like I don't understand why they took. Like, there's no reason why, Like I can see the age thing because of like a legal standpoint, but this I have no idea.
Even so, you take Skullgirls, another game, and all the characters in that game. I don't need to delve into the background that exists for all those characters within the art. They, for God's sakes, they hired a porn artist of that game as an artist
Oh,
for
man.
the fucking game. Okay, all those characters are underage, and no matter what, they don't back down on the integrity of the characters and say no, they're 18 now. For legal reasons, the porn is now okay for this character, or rather, we're
Well,
not
to
going
be
to get
fair,
shit on.
I
for
feel
it.
like if someone actually did come and like really pressure Mike Z like that, like they were like, look, you're gonna have to face like some court stuff.
Yeah,
Like, I'm sure Mike Z and the team would be like, you know what, let's bump their ages up a little.
Yeah, but
But-
the other thing is like, do they have I guess one thing that makes me think it's more about the skins is that with Skullgirls I don't play it, but I'm sure I'm assuming that you don't have to pay for the skins.
well,
Yeah.
there
Well,
was
it's all
second
just-
encore upgrade actually. I mean, it's all colors, but you did have to pay for the colors in the second encore upgrade if you do buy it.
So you do have to pay for the skins.
Yeah, second encore and a base game. It's such a huge jump. That's literally like 5 years of development built into one $7 upgrade. I think that's fair because I'm
Okay.
willing to pay for stuff if there's heart in it.
Yeah, I mean, what I thought is like, all right, you're not paying for the skins, so everything's there, So there's not really a legal way of me saying, okay,
Well,
I'm trying to make money off of making this person have a different skin.
Technically, second encore sold as its own, like the physical copy of the most recent releases of Skullgirls. It's gonna have the second encore upgrade already built onto it. So technically, Skullgirls Second Encore is the name of the game, and Skullgirls Second Encore has the full slew of content for a single price.
Hmm.
So that it's just released on Steam differently because it technically, you could call the early phases of it early access, and then the full product second
Well,
hardcore.
I wouldn't say early access
Well, yeah, I mean
because it is a full game.
Yes,
it's just,
but there were frames.
it's an expansion.
There were frames of characters attacking at some points in the game, where
Well,
they
that
were
was
just
with Big Band
hand-drawn.
when they were.
That was for
introducing
that
it,
was
but-
for all characters being developed.
Oh,
when they,
really?
Yeah, when they didn't have the animations finished.
I thought
for the
that was
characters.
only for the DLC characters.
No, I might have been for the DLC characters actually, because the base game didn't have any of that.
Because I know
but
Big
for-
Band.
For DLC,
There's like a bunch of footage of him, like where, like he'll go to attack and he'll just change into like a piece of paper, that's just like a sketch of like whatever the attack is.
Yeah.
Like while they were working on it, like in the betas.
So to that extent, I would say it's kind of like early access, but I mean the game's finished now.
Mhm.
That was the only reason that existed was because they cared more about the game playing than the game looking, but they were also paying real good attention to how the game looked. It's a weird mix there, but I respect them for doing it because it allowed the game to flesh out to be what it is in the least amount of time possible.
I don't have anything really to say on the terms of that, but on the actual like age standpoint, like I kind of stand where I was saying. Like I feel like
Yeah.
it's more about the skins, personally.
Yeah, because if they're trying to sell you the skin for like swimsuit diva, it's like,
Yeah.
well, she's 16 though.
It's like,
Exactly.
oh,
And
okay, sorry.
Exactly.
Now
That's-
she's 18-year-old.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is people might like make a fuss about it, and then they have like
lawsuit on their hands.
That's-
well, I don't know if it would go to a full lawsuit.
It
I
but
think
probably
I
it
was
would.
saying,
I
It
don't
probably
think-
Would
would.
it?
It probably would. Because
Do you
if
think it
she's-
would?
If she's 16, if the character is 16, right?
Someone made the
And
decision to release a
somebody
sexualized
made-
skin of a 16-year-old girl,
Exactly.
and that
Exactly.
but would
there-
it would
there's
that be something?
accountability.
Or is there any law against specifically like characters?
I
I'm
have
pretty
no
sure.
fucking idea.
I'm pretty sure that's considered child pornography. I'm like
Okay, so then
pretty
yeah,
sure.
there'd be a lawsuit. But
Because the thing is, I can't imagine that you wouldn't like if you made a girl or a guy at that. If you made a child, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say it like that. If you made a child and you sexualize that child, that is
Yeah,
child
I guess that's true.
pornography. That's like I'm 100% like that is child pornography.
so yeah, then they'd have
Whether
some sort of
it's
lawsuit.
3D or 2D.
By that
So I guess they
logic,
just weren't
would have
thinking?
a lawsuit. I'm not
Yes.
gonna say I agree with it because I play Skullgirls, and I'm not. I don't. I'm not a child.
I think. Well, the
Don't
thing
think
is,
so,
I
man.
no, I joke about it with you, but thing is, I think that
Yeah, I guess that's
if-
true 'cause
if
it's a big
they-
game.
If they didn't, I feel like it's bigger for Blizzard just because it's Blizzard instead of
Yeah.
like a
Instead
a
of
third
Lab
company,
Zero,
right? Exactly.
There's a
But-
world of difference.
But if you have a game, and like a lot of kids, not only that, a lot of kids play this game too.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like if you have a game that's sexualizing children, that's bad. That's bad.
Well, I mean,
But
if
that's
you're a
not good.
16-year-old playing it, and there's a 16-year-old character, there's really nothing wrong for you. Because if it's a sexualized 16-year-old girl and you're a 16-year-old dude that's playing that,
Yeah, but
same
also
age,
Blizzard
same
probably.
age.
But it's not about
Just
the
kinda
people
stick
playing.
away from
It's
that.
not about the
Yeah.
people playing.
I
It's
thought
about
you
the
were just
people
saying it was.
creating. No. It's about the people creating.
But the population that
I'm just
population that
saying,
views
like,
it is that's still something to take into account.
I'm just saying, like, you have these kids playing these games, right?
Yes.
You want to make the game not as correct as possible because in the end of the day, you still have people killing people, right? Like, you don't want to make it correct as possible because then it becomes what? It becomes a school lesson.
But you want
But-
to make a product that your kid's gonna be able to play when his mom
That you would
comes
be
into
able
the
to
room and
play.
give him- If your mom's gonna bring your kid snacks while he's playing this game, do you really want it to be Skullgirls or do you want it to be something not Skullgirls?
Exactly.
You know?
You know,
No,
if you're
That's
I-
all. I'm
that was
saying.
always a problem when I was a younger kid.
Yeah.
Like I'd get like embarrassed of like the games I was playing. Like if there was
course.
something like that, like it was like just something vaguely
Well,
titty.
It's like the same argument
You
as
know?
like when you're watching anime and your friends aren't out of the room. It's like these dope fight
Yeah.
scenes and shit, and then your friends
Yeah,
come in
then
and it's like that
they
scene
walk in,
where
it's the one titty scene.
Yeah, it's the one titty scene in the episode. It's like it happens a bit too often.
The
for
classic
comfort.
one titty scene in each episode.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So, does anybody have anything else to say about lore? Because I feel like we could have just made a whole video on this shit, apparently.
The
Yeah,
Lorecast.
The Lorecast.
One thing that fits really well with lore. We're talking about lore as a whole, right? It's storytelling, it's atmosphere setting.
It's the whole, like, honestly, we could cut this thing now and ship it, and it will be, like, just the
Nope,
lore
there's
podcast.
one
But we
thing
have
we're
so
missing.
many other things
There's
that
one
we're
thing
gonna
we're
talk
missing
about.
when it comes to lore and atmosphere, and that is music, boys.
That's true.
Music.
Something that
Game
sets
music is.
game music.
I think that's probably
That's
one of
gonna be our
one of the
last
things that
topic for
brings
the
a game
day.
from like a 9 to a 10.
That's gonna be our last topic.
Yes, and
I think
boy,
we could keep going.
we're gonna
forever.
no. I mean, that's not gonna be the last thing we say. That we're gonna talk about that now, and you're gonna get.
We're
to
gonna
hear
talk
it.
about the music.
We're not gonna
but-
bring up anything new other than music,
All
and
right,
we're still
so,
gonna
That
have
sounds
we're
another
gonna
like
have
how
a
we talk,
second.
yes,
We're gonna have
another
a
30
second.
minutes.
We're gonna have a second gaming podcast going
Yeah.
at you then, because we have
Because we have
legitimately
esports that we want to
to
talk about.
9 other things on this list that we
Yeah,
wanted to talk about.
I think we can settle this with music just fine.
All right, that's
So
fine.
let's get in it. I want to start us off, man. Music's an
Alright, you go ahead.
incredible tool in anything, any form of entertainment, art, whatever you want to call it. Music does an incredible job of setting the mood, the tone. You want to have a sick boss fight? You have some epic fucking harpsichord shit going on and rock music and whatever while shit's going down. It's awesome. You want to have a somber time? You have some piano, you have some background noise going. You want to feel sad that someone died, that kind of shit. There's so much you can do with music to enhance what you're trying to show already, to enhance the product that you're presenting. It's endless, and that fits so incredibly well with lore because lore does the same thing, does it not?
No, it does. It does. And I feel like when you're talking about like OSTs, right?
Mhm.
And you want to talk about like a game.
Yeah.
You're gonna basically say when you like okay. So how I see it, like you got the gameplay, like oh this game's really good, but it might not look good, or this game's like looks amazing, but it doesn't play good, right?
Yeah.
So. I feel like when you're looking at like it looks good and it sounds good, I feel like a lot of like the best OSTs are in games that are like pixelated. Personally, like,
I
I
agree.
think a lot of the best music is from pixel art games because like it carries like from what you don't have in views.
Because
you have
there's
in
more
the
distance,
sound.
there's more ground you gotta cover with other aspects of the game.
I was gonna say you kind of there's like a triangle for like this. Like you have to have
it's like a
two of
shaded
the
triangle.
three things with gameplay, story. So it just covers like music, like music lore, actual story, and then like graphics.
Yeah.
Like because graphics don't necessarily matter, but the game has to look presentable. Like I'm not saying like every game has to be like super HD, like insane graphics, but it has to have like a style to it, you know?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
exact opposite of what Jump Force is.
Yeah. Oh god, that game's disgusting.
Where
but-
everything is incredibly hyper realistic HD, but boy, do the
and that
characters
game's foul. Holy shit.
the
that game
characters
looks
are not
disgusting.
meant to fit in that environment, and it shows.
It just looks like weird, creepy characters wearing masks.
It's like what if Yu-Gi-Oh and Dark Magician Girl were in Unreal Engine 4, and that's
Yeah.
the game. That's the game
And-
right there.
And I'll tell you 2 games right now that like that will say yeah you know you don't need great graphics to be good.
What are
One
they?
game that's really good, the one game that's really nice to look at, Nidhogg 1.
Ooh,
One game that's
Nidhogg.
not
Yes.
one game that's not nice to look at, Nidhogg 2.
yeah.
So
Clever, I respect that.
but what's the thing? Nidhogg 1 is pixel art. It's very basic.
Nidhogg
it's very
2 is as
simplistic.
well.
And
No, it's
but
not.
Nidhogg 2 is
Yeah, it is.
not. It's
It's not. It's like a cartoony, weird,
No,
over the
Exactly.
top
I've seen the game.
90s
It's
style.
it's still it's still drawn in pixels at the end of the day.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was like.
Nope.
I thought they had like circles and shit.
It is circles, but it's still drawn in pixels. It's like the difference between King of Fighters 2002 and King of Fighters 13.
Yeah.
You know, but they're both
Okay,
still
yeah.
pixel art
It
at the
is.
end of the day.
But
yeah,
the
no,
thing
it's
is,
still pixels, but it's fucking ugly.
It's
Well, the
ugly.
characters are ugly as shit. The backgrounds are beautiful. I got to tell you that right now. Nidhogg
Yeah.
2, you go take
You
a
know,
look
I'm
at those
looking at
backgrounds.
pictures now.
It's fucking awesome. But boy, do those characters look gross. But that's purposeful.
And like
That-
the
there-
worm
that's it-
looks
that's the
disgusting.
issue there. Yeah,
Yeah, but it does. Like you can make something
It's not
purposely
nice to
ugly,
look
but
at.
still aesthetically
yeah.
like
I
pleasing.
think it's weird because I think Nidhogg 2's in the middle grounds there, where the art style is bad but good. Like certain parts there just they shouldn't look like that. They shouldn't have been imagined to be that product. But the way they create that product is fucking awesome.
Mhm.
You know? Like you can dress shit up to look like really good shit. And it's still shit at the core product of it. But like the way you dress it, you know, it's like, hey, maybe this shit could get a date. I don't know. And I think Nidhogg 2 is a good example of that.
I feel like it's too like they had something good going with Nidhogg 1. And then they kind of like tried to do more with the Nidhogg 2, and I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
The guy who
actual
made it
art
said
stuff.
this is how he wanted the original game to
Yeah,
look, but
that's
they
what
didn't
weirds
have
me
the
out the
budget.
most.
Because I would have looked at this, I would have said this is I don't know. Like I would have probably still
would have said
like,
I don't
the
know.
The gameplay is nice, but I would have. But if I was solely to go off of how it looked, I would be like, that's a no for me. Dog.
Are you sure?
That's a no for me, dog.
Are you sure, Chief? Is this the one?
Yeah.
Is this
This
it?
ain't it, Chief.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I think one thing that brought me into like Nidhogg as liking it was just like the simplistic art
It's
style.
stylish.
Yeah.
It's style.
It's so
it
stylish.
has a certain swagger to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I think I like that.
The way the characters stand, they move. You can make you can make personality shine through without saying a damn word. You can make make
exactly.
style appear on that screen, just with the few pixels that make up those characters.
I agree.
Stances, the way they attack it looks good, man. It looks real good.
But
So yeah, the music, am I right, guys?
Oh
Nidhogg's
yeah.
music.
Oh yeah, Nidhogg's music. That's what we were talking about. Nidhogg's music is really good.
It is. It is.
It complements the bombastic nature of the combat in ways that it's just like you're just flying around. You remember that one time that like Sephiroth's theme started playing on the clouds?
Yeah, no, that was crazy.
no, that was cool. I can't believe they even got the rights to use that song.
Yeah, that was
It was awesome.
unbelievable.
It was awesome. Unbelievable.
But I also think another thing is like, yeah, the music's really good, and like, I feel like the music, no, it's not. Yeah, the music's really good, but the graphics aren't anything to like be wowed at. It's just really, it looks nice.
Okay.
But the music complements the graphics really well, where it's like, okay, the music really pulls a lot of the weight, you know?
Yes. Yeah. There. Okay. That's a good full circle for this. I
Yeah.
respect that.
Like I feel like the music. I feel like what I'm saying is like games can look really nice, and they can have poor music tracks, but the
it'll
game
still
could
feel
still be
lacking.
thought. It could still be thought as a good game in
Oh,
graphics terms. But the thing is, like, if you have these pixel games, you need a good OST. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's
Mhm.
got
Like you need a
there's
No, I
good
agree.
distance
music to
cover.
complement it.
Okay, time out. I have to stop you there because we made the most foul mistake. We're talking about video game music. We even mentioned the name Sephiroth, and we're not gonna talk about Final Fantasy VII soundtrack. Oh my
Well,
god!
there's a few games I want to touch on, but okay, let's
Yeah, no,
I
go.
just-
Let's go.
games.
Look, you just.
Let's go into. I know which
I'm
games
only
you're
I'm
talking-
only
you're
gonna
thinking
say
about,
I'm only
Justin.
gonna talk about Sephiroth's theme. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
Look,
ahead.
it's Sephiroth is a character. When you're fighting him, he literally turns into a one-winged demon angel, and fucking crushes a meteor through all the planets in the fucking solar system and attacks you with it. Okay? How do you support that kind of great bad evil villain with music? Sephiroth's theme is a great fucking
It slaps.
example. That song slaps, dude. You have
slaps.
you have the fucking vocals going on. You have the horns going on in the background. You got all this angelic yet ominous shit happening in the song that complement that this dude's gonna fucking kill you, and you beat his ass to that song? Yo, let's go. That's what I'm talking about. How music carries some weight. If you need an example of a good song to complement a boss perfectly, it's that. And one thing I want to talk about earlier, this is a quick statement. Whenever I talk with Diaz about fucking bosses that we have loved fighting, the first thing we say is, yo, he was dope. Yo, the music was dope in that fight.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
like,
because music makes or breaks a scene.
it does.
I think
It does.
you can have like a song that's either just not good or just hilariously unfitting,
Mhm.
and it could just completely destroy
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the emotional value of a scene.
Well, if we're
or
gonna
the
talk
importance.
about if we're gonna talk about that, I wanna go straight to scene that was recently brought to my attention, even though I wasn't in the recording in the Dread Out series.
Yeah. Oh, the music in that game.
The
Is that
little
the Tuyul scene?
I'm
Tuyul.
talking about the scene where the little men were running around.
Yo, I was
And-
geeking. I was geeking.
And you had the banjo music
Yeah.
playing.
Yeah,
And,
the-
Wow, 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 wow.
and I'm watching this. I'm watching this game, and I'm like, is this supposed to be scary, or
Yeah.
is this supposed to?
Yeah, that
is
was
this
the
supposed to
least.
be
That
a-
was the
a
most
light
comical
point?
part.
Like I feel like if you have like the wrong music can ruin an experience.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's a very
You know,
good
that was like
example
the
of it.
hardest I've laughed in a long time.
Yeah,
was
we were
just sitting there
goofy,
getting slapped over, like slapped onto the ground by these little baby blue boys with giant balls while there's a
So
banjo
good.
playing in the background.
It was
Like,
so good, dude.
It's
I
just
was
it's,
dying.
I don't know, but
I was
just-
so scared of playing that game up until that point, and
oh
then
yeah,
we
there's
get
so
there.
many menacing
There's
scenes
so
and that just
much
completely.
menacing shit with this ominous fucking trash playing in the background.
Mhm.
Indonesian garbage music, and boy, does it really does it scare the fuck out of you. And then
Yeah,
you get to this scene, you have the fucking, you know, the swamp benders from that scene in Avatar. That's their music. That's the Tuyul music.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the Tuyul's music, and it just ruins it. But it made it for a good kind of moment in an unintended way. Maybe
Matt,
it
do you
was
have-
intended.
Do you have anything else to say on the
No,
Sephiroth
I
theme?
talked about Sephiroth's theme. That is my example of how music
Okay.
should complement any sort of game.
Because
Now
if
it's
we're
up, it's
gonna-
up to you guys. There's so little time we have here. Bring something else up.
Because if
There's
we're
so
gonna
little
talk
time.
about there's still time. We still got
Yeah,
time.
what are you talking about?
Well, I mean,
If
if we're
there's-
trying to be concise with our products.
Nah, fuck that. Well,
Okay,
we can extend. We can extend.
Okay, if you want to
But the
extend
thing
it, go
is-
for it.
But the thing is, if we're gonna talk about boss battles and we're gonna talk about music, there's one game that you have to bring up, and that's Undertale. 100%.
Of course.
It's Undertale.
Shudder. I'm shook, dude. Yes. Yes,
If any-
Undertale.
You bring up any track on that Undertale music, and I will be playing it on
I
my
know.
iPod on the way to school.
I know it.
Like
I would be
those,
slapping to it.
Yeah.
They are so many bangers on that freaking track that it's phenomenal.
Dude, that
what
track
Toby
is
did.
the
It was
soundtrack's
insane.
so good there. There's one kid from Christian's high school I remember. He used to tell me that he'd listen to this music and cry and get so beautiful and emotional about it. That's
yeah.
what music should be able to do to something.
the song Undertale is actually one of my
So good.
favorite music.
So
one of my
good.
favorite songs to listen to while I'm like drunk off my ass at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm
song.
just like, I just want to listen to this song, and it's so good. Like I can listen to any song made by any pop artist, any metal artist, anything. But when I always go to that freaking Undertale song, and it's incredible. The music in that game is just it makes the game memorable.
Well, yeah,
It pulls
if
that extra
That's
damn weight.
what I was gonna say. Is like if the game came out without that soundtrack, like it was either just there was no music or the music was just kind of the standard nothing.
Mhm.
I don't think the game would have done anywhere near as well.
No,
Because
I
I
actually-
remember
Absolutely
I
not.
checked out the game because I heard Papyrus's theme. And I was like, this shit slaps, dude.
I think that there's
And then I looked up a
fundamental-
little about it,
Sorry,
and just kind of went from there.
two games that
Yeah.
came out that are inspired by each other, honestly, throughout their development, are inspired by Yume and Nikki. One of them being Undertale, the other being Lisa. Another game with a very, very experimental soundtrack that I don't think it took so heavily as Undertale did, because they went a totally different direction with the soundtrack, and it didn't end up hitting the mark. But Undertale did.
Mhm.
Because if you've played through Lisa the Painful is the official name. The soundtrack on that, it's fucking goofy. It's fucking weird. There's so
Well,
many
yeah, I mean,
weird.
there's that one part where they sample Doolin from.
Oh yeah,
shit,
the song they sampled Delin from
Yeah,
fucking
Delin.
Shenmue 2.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
He's going. Ooh.
Yeah, and that's a
they're
great
using-
fucking
that's-
song. But
it is,
boy,
it's incredible.
I'm not gonna play that at a party, but I'm gonna play Undertale, 100%, baby.
I mean, let's just
100%.
say right now. I'm just gonna say this right now. On our stream playlist, we have Undertale.
Yeah,
Like it's.
I
like-
don't
like,
have Lisa music on there.
There's not another game that I would be like. Well, there are a few games, but there's not another game where
I've got
I'd
a
be
plenty.
like, okay, like I'm gonna throw this on.
I gotta put the Nier soundtrack.
a sound. Well, Nier's another one, yeah.
Yeah,
But-
Nier's
but,
got a
but,
fucking
I mean-
fantastic soundtrack.
From fucking the Spider song to
Yeah,
all the
Moth
way
is
to fucking Megalovania,
Mhm.
like all of them bang, and it's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I can't believe that this one guy, because Toby made it, right?
He made every
Yeah,
single one.
Toby
of those.
made every single bit
Dude's
of
a
the game.
genius.
I
which
can't
is
believe this
unbelievable.
one guy fucking just makes all these songs, and then you go from song to song and say, yeah, that's a great song. Yeah, it's a great song. Yeah, it's a great song. And then you can't say, okay, I'm gonna listen to all these songs. There's not one song that I'm gonna be like, all right, I don't want to listen to this song. Let me skip it.
Maybe the
There's
ones
not
that
one.
like maybe like even Thunder Snail or like Spookwave. I'll always keep those on. I'll put them on when
You know,
I'll play them.
I listen to Spookwave
Yeah,
every time I get
I'll
past
play
it.
those 100% of the time, just for the sentimentality, the value that those songs hold.
It's,
That's
I-
another thing that we haven't really touched yet, is that the music can kind of bring you back to like those parts in the game and like
Yeah.
and give it even more value, you know?
Absolutely.
Like you
dude.
go back, you listen to a song from a specific point in the game, and like
The
if it's like a
emotion, man.
particularly sad part, you like it can honestly like it can make you sad. It can make you can remember like happy times in the game or some shit like that.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
like,
absolutely.
One example of this is the Dragon Quest Monsters Joker title music. That song
Yo, that
is
song
like
slaps.
burned. That song is burned into my memory because I heard it so many times as a child.
Yeah.
And like just hearing that song, it makes me like nostalgic.
Mhm.
You know?
Can I bring up a song real quick? But
Of
it's
course.
not in a video game, and only Matt would know. And
Yeah.
me and Justin were talking about this earlier, like last night,
What
if
is
you
it?
remember. It's the Avatar song, where the Uncle Iroh
Yeah.
it's his filler episode in Bossing Say, and it's the song where he's singing to his son.
Oh. Good song.
And it's not a sad song. Like if
No,
you sing it,
but-
it's not a sad song because
It's almost like kind of chanty.
It's like
and
an
it's
upbeat
like an
song.
upbeat
Exactly.
and chanty. But boy,
but
the
the
fact
way
that they
he sings it, like and that song, it's a good song.
it is.
But you just think back to the scene and it makes you tear up
There's
every time.
there's dissonance there. That's the term that you're trying to bring. It's because
yeah.
it's upbeat and happy, but in the context of they show that before. No, wait, this is shown technically
No.
after. We know Iroh's son is dead at that point.
We know
Yeah.
he's dead.
Yes.
Yes.
And the fact that they're bringing this emotional, no, actually not supposed to be pretty emotional traditional song, but the context of his son being dead and the emotion that he has over that, it brings such a different dimension
It
to the
brings
song
substance.
that could never be there. There's meat.
Yeah.
There's meat there. That's
Yeah.
the term I like saying.
But yeah, I mean, it just going back, like there's some songs that like it brings a certain nostalgia to it, you know.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. Do you guys have any more examples? I think one song for me personally that also is another example of the sad song. It's Assassin's Creed Black Wake, and at the end of the song,
Black Flag.
at the end of the game, Black Flag, at the end of the game, they sing this Irish chanty,
Mhm.
and he's reunited with his daughter, and I thought it's the most touching thing, and every time I hear that song, I just go back and think of like that scene, and it's just like I think music is just such a huge thing in like
Mhm.
these different games about actually bringing. I think honestly, music is almost. I think gaming. Obviously, the gameplay is the first thing in games, but I think music is like a close second.
I
Well,
agree.
music's one
I
of those
very
things that
strongly
people
agree.
can listen to music on its own. Surprisingly, people can listen to music purely for entertainment and do nothing else but listen to the music.
Yeah.
You know, it's one of those things that it already drags so much weight on its own, has so much influence, power, entertainment value behind it, soulfulness, whatever you want to say.
Mhm.
It does that. It does what a game can do on its own. So to be added into a game as part of the substance for it, you better be doing music some respect and making it damn good and doing your game some respect and having this awesome partner to gameplay be just as awesome as the gameplay. Because it's equal.
Let's see, what's another great soundtrack? And we briefly touched on Nier.
Yeah,
I think
we
the
can
Nier
definitely bring it
soundtrack is fucking fantastic. It's just a bunch of like
Slaps.
it slaps. It's orchestral. You know,
Mhm.
just a bunch of orchestra shit. They got all your classic instruments, all the good
Harpsichord.
ones. Harpsichord. Actually, I don't even know if they have a harpsichord.
They have some. They have piano. A lot of it.
They got pianos.
They got some
But,
bassoon stuff. I think. You know?
The music in those games is fucking unbelievably good. Like the first game, it's carried by the story and the music. Like the
100%.
first thing people say when they talk about Nier is, dude, the story, dude, the music, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like, but I feel like that's one of those things that can also save a game in a way.
I mean, it did it to Nier. It
Mhm.
absolutely had. It has so much impact and power on its own.
Yeah,
I mean,
a
I
lot of
still-
shows that we watch are
the,
carrying the music too.
The ending song for Nier Automata, I think, it still makes me sad.
The ending
That
song
is,
for Persona 5. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, that song
That
too.
song is another one because it's the same thing with Nier. You play this dumb JRPG for 80 hours and you finally finish the fucking game and you get this awesome rockin' cathartic sound. That's just, it pulls you through. It says, hey, you're at the end of your journey, man. Your kid, Akira Ren Amamiya, you did it. And boy, that song fucking, I love it. It's so good.
It's incredible.
It's so good.
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this ranking system of soundtracks of OSTs, and Tetris is ranked higher than Halo. That's another soundtrack. Yeah, and in the top
I'm
100,
appalled.
Undertale isn't even listed.
I'm appalled. People have no taste.
Well, when did this soundtrack come out? Or when did this list come out? Does it say? Because I can understand the Tetris theme is a fucking classic. Like that song, like it's it's great.
Came out in
But
2015.
Real gamers don't listen to the
Was
Tetris
Undertale? When did Undertale come out?
theme. 2014.
Yeah, something
so
like that.
Undertale was out.
Actually, wait. It might be. Lisa
It
and
came
Undertale
out September 2015.
Okay, so Lisa came out in 2014. So that's got to be on there, I'm sure.
Nothing like Delwyn.
Nothing
sounds
like.
of Delwyn.
And this came out April 2015. So Undertale wasn't out yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Lisa is. I didn't
No,
see
it's
Lisa.
look. I fucking love the music on that. Don't get me wrong. It's really good, but it's so niche.
It's not for
niche,
everyone.
Niche, whatever you want to say. I say niche usually. It's not for everyone.
But I want to going back to what I was saying. Halo's not higher.
Halo's
Like-
it's an incredible soundtrack
I'm surprised.
right now.
Halo's-
Just get that out of the
Halo's
way. It's an
soundtrack
incredible
is-
soundtrack.
It's become a meme. It's so good. It's become
Yeah.
a meme.
Exactly.
It's one of the best soundtracks in
People-
gaming. I personally think in gaming. Period.
Men have
I
traveled
agree.
across the nation to gather in bathrooms just to sing and just to sing this theme, dude. In the rooms, the places with the most echo possible. They've
Yeah.
gathered there as a cult, not over love of gameplay, but over love of music,
As a
The
brotherhood.
song.
as a brotherhood,
Over love of the
A
song.
family.
over love of the song. In bathrooms
Yeah.
to play Melty Blood
The most
tournaments
foul. Yeah. They're playing Melty Blood, and then they start singing the Halo theme.
while they're playing Melty Blood.
I mean,
While they're
personally,
playing Melty
when I think of Halo, when I think of the Halo music, I don't know why, but I immediately think of like the best composers in movies. So like Star Wars, Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
You know what's the guy's name? He did the same thing.
Not George Lucas, because that dude's an idiot.
No, that's definitely
Are you thinking of Danny Elfman?
No.
no.
It's the guy that made those
Martin
soundtracks.
O'Donnell.
Martin O'Donnell.
Martin O'Donnell. Is he the Star Wars guy?
No. Actually, he made. Why? Oh my God! I literally went to go type in Star Wars. No, Martin O'Donnell did the.
It's
Halo.
John Williams did Star
John
Wars.
Williams.
John Williams.
That
I
guy.
don't know. I was like, let me look up Star Wars, and I immediately type Halo. Yeah,
Yeah, John Williams is a
John
god.
Williams is like
the
when I
goat.
think of the Halo soundtrack, I think of him. I don't know why, because obviously, like he didn't do it.
It's like the same level of grandeur.
But it's like the same level of grandeur to it. I don't know why. I might be crazy, but that's
No, I
what I
agree.
think of. You know,
I agree. It's the same kind of like
because he
level of
did
intensity and all.
he did Jurassic Park, Jaws, Star Wars, Raiders of the Lost Ark in the Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
He did Harry Potter.
Oh, good soundtrack.
He did Schindler's List.
I haven't watched
He
Schindler's
did-
List.
he did all of these soundtracks, and it's just like how could one man have this much greatness in him, you know, to make all this stuff?
Mhm.
I don't. It perplexes me. I'm perplexed.
I'm perplexed.
I don't know.
I
I
think,
don't know.
dude, the thing that's the saddest about music is people really take it for granted when there's a
Yes.
good soundtrack. Like, people don't really, like, when a soundtrack is good, people just kind of, like, they take it in, a lot of people, but then they just kind of, like,
They
it
forget
does,
about
people
it.
don't talk about the soundtrack, you know?
Yeah.
Some people do, obviously, like
No,
us.
People do. Well,
But,
there's got to be those people that nut over it. Like, I want people to nut over that music because they need
Yeah.
to respect how good it is.
I mean, think about it. In every game, what like something that consistently comes up is like, oh yeah, the music in this game is really good.
It's a meme of our
Mhm.
channel already. Is that every
Yeah.
time we play a game, we go, "Yo, this music slaps."
Yeah, exactly.
But
And that's that's literally, like, a conscious
that's
thing.
not
like,
fake, by the way.
No, it's conscious.
That's us just being like, oh yeah, this music's really good.
We've already spent
Yeah.
enough time talking about music for you guys to understand that this is naturally how we feel about it.
Yeah.
If that's not
Like,
clear, it should
yeah,
be.
we're just big on music. Like I don't know. I feel like music. Like I said earlier, music is like the second thing in games that I always look to. Like I honestly, a game can have the shittiest graphics, and if it's still fun, I'll still play it.
Well, I have a really good example of this. We played Super Bit Adventure, a pretty long time ago,
Mhm.
and the graphics in that game are nothing special, but the gameplay's really solid, and the music in that game is really fucking good.
I was,
Link to that
And-
video. Link to that
Yeah.
video
Yeah.
on the annotation.
I was hungover that day that we
Mhm.
played it, so I didn't really remember too much of it.
Also, you didn't have sound because we only had one pair of
Oh
headphones.
yeah, that's why I don't remember it. It wasn't my
But the music in
alcoholism.
that game is fucking fantastic.
It was
Like,
really
it's really good. Like, I continued playing that game after we did the recordings,
Uh-huh.
and like the music still stays really good. Like, throughout the parts of the game that I got through. Because man, that game's hard. But yeah.
We
I don't know,
didn't
it's
win the
like-
$100 if you guys
No.
wanted to know.
No, there was no
We did not
$100
get the
won by us.
Rest in peace.
I think someone actually managed to do it
Did they really?
somewhat recently. Yeah.
Good for them.
And then there was a big update because he realized that having the game be around for like 6 months and only one person beating it was possibly too difficult.
Just
Yeah.
maybe, just maybe.
I mean, he won $200, so I think it was
Yeah.
worth it for him.
Mhm.
He won $200 worth of game keys.
He realized
Yeah.
he didn't want to update it until someone beat it like in that state because
Yeah, I
he
guess.
wanted to know the most.
Just
He didn't
most
want to
insane of the
discredit the
men.
effort that person
Mhm.
put in to get the 200, whoever it was.
yeah.
But once it
I mean-
happened, it's like, yeah, I know there's flaws. Now we
Honestly,
can
if
fix
I
it.
would have won that, I would have been like, let me buy $200 worth of copies of this game and just give it to my friends.
No, it's a really good game.
Just
Like,
send
I-
it right back. It's a great game, dude.
I really like. I honestly, I enjoy that game a lot. Like, I haven't been playing it recently, but it is something where every once in a while I get that urge and I play a couple rounds of it. You know?
Yeah,
It's a fun game.
when we played it, I had a ball. It was a
Mhm.
lot of fun.
Yo, this
I-
podcast is gonna be our long one. Actually, it's
No,
only an hour and 30 right now.
I think we can close it up in a few minutes. Do we have any other soundtracks that we want to go to?
Special shout out to Shovel Knight.
Special shout out to Shovel Knight. Great fucking
Shovel Knight soundtrack is
Slaps.
really good.
Shit's OD, dude.
Like-
so good.
Like, I think that's an example of a game where the story doesn't necessarily matter too much. Like the gameplay in that game is fantastic. The presentation of everything's great. Like the artwork, the music, and there is a story, but it's the classic, just like, it's like Mario or Mega Man, where it's just like, there's some bad guys and you got to go stop them, and there's a lady at the end that you got to go help.
Yeah. Yo, do
Like,
you
you
guys
don't necessarily need too much.
do you guys want to do a lightning round of every
Lightning round.
every game we can think of? We'll go in turns. It'll be me, Justin, Tone. We'll go in turns.
Okay.
We'll just say the
Yeah,
name of
we'll
the
do
game that
that.
we think has a
Are we gonna-
OST that slaps.
Are we gonna talk about?
We won't say shit about the games. We're just gonna
No,
say
no,
the
I
names.
know. Are we gonna talk about games that we've already talked about?
Yeah, say whatever comes to mind. If you
Okay.
feel like you need justice. All right.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Pokemon.
La Mulana.
I was gonna say Pokemon. Shit. No, honestly, a game that we haven't talked about yet. Dota.
Yeah.
Dota's got good
Dota
music.
2. Amazing music.
Hollow Knight. Godlike.
Shit. No Man's Sky. The soundtrack in No Man's Sky was pretty solid.
Oh my god, I wanted to talk about No Man's Sky so much today. We'll save it. We'll save it for the
Yeah,
For
we
the
have
next
we have
podcast.
We'll
something.
save it for the next podcast.
Yeah.
We have. I just want to say we have so many topics.
This is a
Yeah,
good
no, we
lightning
got a
Just-
big old list. It is a
Yeah.
good lightning round.
I think a good
Lightning
a
strikes
song,
like molasses.
I'm sorry, lightning round. Super Smash Bros.
Yes, I mean, oh,
There you
hey, whoa, that's like 70 different game series is right there.
No, but they do rewrite the music
I
for
know,
Super
yeah,
Smash
it's
Bros.
really
Yeah.
good.
Like they update it, they give it the trumpets and all that.
Enter the Gungeon, great soundtrack.
I'm gonna go
How-
with
How
Rogue
many
Legacy.
Rogue
How many of
Legacy.
these are we gonna do?
I'll just keep going.
How
Just
many
keep going.
rounds?
Keep going for
Everything-
10 minutes.
Everything that
15
you think
minutes.
needs to be said.
10 minutes. We have to keep going.
Yes.
Shit. I'm trying to think.
If you can't think, we can pass you.
It's hard.
Yeah, pass me. Pass
Rivals
me.
of Aether.
I'm gonna go with Third Strike. Street Fighter Third
God, it's
Strike.
facts. That's it. That shit slaps. Gotta say Skullgirls. Music's fucking amazing.
Well, why'd you just give me again?
What? lightning round, bitch.
Lightning round, keep going.
I'm
keep going.
gonna say Eunice. We haven't said
Yeah, Eunice
That is
soundtrack
true. Eunice
slaps.
has a
Eunice
slapping
Yo,
soundtrack.
Flames
Really
and Destiny,
good.
Pachelbel's Canon,
Mm.
Sound of the Wind, Phone On.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Castle Crashers, Pit
Castle
People.
Crashers, Pit People.
There you go.
Every Behemoth game ever. Awesome soundtrack.
Every
Yeah.
behemoth
The new
game
Doom.
ever.
Shit slaps. Good soundtrack
new-
on
yeah.
that. Donut County.
Spelunky
slaps.
soundtrack.
Spelunky.
Donut County
FTL.
soundtrack slaps. Holy shit,
Yeah.
that's a good soundtrack.
FTL and Into
Yeah,
the Breach.
FTL. Oh,
Mhm.
Into the Breach is very stylized for the game. I think I like FTL overall more than Into the Breach.
I
itself.
agree. I think FTL has a better soundtrack.
DMC
well.
soundtrack on that game. Devil May Cry slaps.
Devil May Cry. I can't believe we didn't even talk about that.
Don't worry, we can get into it.
Candy's gonna watch this video and he's gonna be very disappointed.
Yeah,
in
the
us.
music in Devil May Cry, dude. It's another one of those games where they do really good orchestral shit with the chanting and shit going on, or like the old Roman vocals. Speaking of the vocals, the
You
Smash
said that, like
Bros.
Gregorian chanting.
Yeah, the Gregorian chanting, the Smash Bros. Wii theme, Gregorian chanting on that slaps.
I'm gonna
No
say a
doubt.
song that actually bangs, and that's Civilization 4.
Yeah.
Baba Yedu?
Yes.
With the Baba Yedu chant.
Yes.
It's so
Yo,
good.
Crypt of the
And that song,
Necrodancer.
didn't that song win like actual awards and
It
everything?
did.
Like
It did.
like
It won
real
actual
like
awards.
big awards.
Yeah.
Not like video game awards, but just like this is the best song of the year.
Yeah. It was phenomenal, and I'm surprised, Justin. I'm a little disappointed that you didn't say Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, dude.
You're right.
I said it.
But Matt
Oh, man.
said it. I'm really surprised you didn't say it.
I only have 11 hours. Of the
Final
game. It's okay.
Fantasy. Every Final Fantasy has amazing music.
Dragon Quest Monsters. We talked about it earlier.
Yeah.
Just Dragon Quest in general, I guess.
Do you guys like the Dark Souls music?
Don't worry,
I love it.
fucking love that shit.
Dude,
All
can
Dark
we talk
Souls.
about the Dragon Quest soundtrack for 1 second? Because I saw
Sure.
something that made me really sad.
All right, end
People
of
were
lightning
like,
round.
Well, no,
Yeah.
there's more lightning round coming up. Don't worry.
dude, fuck lightning.
Okay,
round.
wait, no, I want to get more. Guilty Gear. Guilty Gear music,
Guilty Gear.
incredible.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Guilty Gear music slaps. We got to throw that in because that's important. Because
Yeah.
like it's like the metal, the sweet guitars, everything. It's
Guilty
fucking
Gear
fantastic.
is fucking awesome music.
I saw something that made me really sad, and people were like, "Yo, this Dragon Quest music is fucking like the new one." People were like, someone made a mod that replaces all the MIDI sounds with like real orchestra.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, dude, that's like 90% of why the music's good is because
Is
it's
the
got
MIDI
like
sounds.
these nice MIDI sounds. Like, can you imagine someone like it just sucks the soul out of it? Like if
Yeah.
someone remade all the Pokemon music as like orchestra music.
Fuck that. The
just
whole
put it
point
in
is
the
them making the music sound just like orchestra instruments,
Yeah.
but it not being that.
Yeah, no, that's part of it. Like I don't know, it's like kind of like sucking the soul out of it. I'm like, damn,
Yeah,
dude,
It sucks the meat away.
don't do that. The meat, man, you're all about the meat today.
Sucking the meat.
Fallout
I didn't even catch that
76.
Yeah.
Just saying. Fallout
yeah.
76 hasn't even
The
come out
Ice
yet.
Frog
Frog's-
knows.
It's so
Oh,
good.
no.
Dude. It's so good. But what was that other song? I had
Naruto music slaps, dude. Naruto music slaps.
Out of left field, Naruto music slaps.
It does
Earth-
though.
Earthbound?
It's true. It does slap.
Earthbound. Great fucking
Earthbound,
soundtrack.
yeah.
I haven't even played that shit. I want to. That's a game we're gonna play on the channel.
Wait, what
100%.
That's another thing. is
100%.
I listen, like I hear soundtracks for games, and that encourages me to play them.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, like I hear a good soundtrack, I'm like, oh, I'm interested in this now, even if I
you
had
want the
zero
Basement Boys
interest.
to play
Just
games,
just
Yeah.
send us a good song and we'll play it.
Send us like a
Easy.
song sample.
Easy.
even if your game is trash, we'll probably still play it.
Yeah, we'll play it and we'll sit on the menu screen. It's like it's the meme where Pat from the Super Best Friend just looks at the game and just sits there and talks about it without playing it, but it's a recording of him playing it. That's us. We'll do that.
That's true. That's the meme.
Darkest Dungeon. Good music.
Darkest Dungeon.
Yo, Darkest Dungeon announcer coming to Dota. It's gonna be
That's
sick.
another one.
Ooh.
Gonna be sick.
We
Slay
didn't
the
talk
Spire.
about the Melty Blood
Slay the
soundtrack.
Yo, Melty Blood OST slaps.
Melty's got a good
So
soundtrack.
good. So good.
I think the thing about the Slay the Spire soundtrack, it's like there's not a lot of good songs. I mean, there's a lot of good songs, but I think there are more tracks than songs.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't think I'd listen to the music outside of the game.
Yo,
Yeah, like what I was saying, like Undertale has good songs,
yeah.
but I feel like Slay the Spire has a lot of good tracks. You know
Yo,
what I'm saying?
Clanad music slaps.
Clanad,
Clanad
great
music
music.
is fucking good. Dragon Ball, just DBZ music, really good.
Yep.
I feel the only reason I bring up DBZ is 'cause it's Dragon Ball Fighters. It's got all that music.
Yep. No, it's great music.
Yeah.
There.
Armello's music it's pretty good. I haven't
Now you're
played-
just
I
now
haven't
you're
played
just
enough
going
of it.
down.
Yeah,
You're just
now
going
you're-
down.
but it is a
Your
lightning
I see
round.
you
It is a
scrolling
lightning
your
round.
Steam.
It is a lightning round.
You're just going down your Steam library. I think the lightning round's over.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would say so. That's about
Because
it.
those are all the songs that I could. Those are all the games that I could like think of off the top of my head that I've actually played.
Kirby music. Why are we fucking
Oh.
stupid? Are we
Yeah.
stupid?
We didn't mention Super Mario 64.
Super
either.
Mario
Just
64.
Just Mario in general.
Are we
Like,
stupid?
just- yeah, no, we kind of Zelda. We left off Zelda.
Are we stupid?
We didn't talk about a lot of the classics. of
Lightning
good
round.
music
That's
for
why. That's
games.
why the lightning
Yeah.
round exists, dude.
The lightning round's a failure.
Yeah.
We were talking more about like the modern games.
But
I think.
Final
one-
Fantasy VII
one
was made
genre
in
that I think,
1997.
That really fucking benefits super heavily from good music is like horror games.
Yes.
Like I think that like that's part of what makes Amnesia and Dreadout so scary is the sound design and like just the ominous music that they play. Because Dreadout's an ugly game, you know, like it doesn't look particularly
Well, I mean,
scary.
Linda's not ugly, but Dreadout is.
Matt, why you want to
Yo,
fuck Linda so
not,
bad?
not for nothing, man. Not for nut, you know?
Yeah, okay. But yeah, like the music in that game really adds to the spooky aura of the game.
Mhm.
Gives you that maximum spook.
Gives you maximum spook. You hear a weird fucking noise, that's just part of the sounds. It's like how
Spooks per
in
minute goes
in
up.
old Banjo-Kazooie music slaps.
Banjo-Kazooie
You know how in the
slaps.
Banjo-Kazooie music and in the Mario music, in the deserts, they have like and Donkey Kong 64 slaps.
I was literally gonna say Donkey
Yes.
Kong music.
So those OSTs, they have sounds of animals, just like Animal Crossing. The 1 p.m. music has like dog and cat sounds built into the music, like that kind of shit that you think is supposed to exist in the environment, but actually just exists as part of the music track.
Yeah.
Before they had that kind of proximity-based stuff happen in the environment, that stuff is good, man. That shit's real good.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic. Damn.
I think that about covers it for music.
That, I
that
think that's
about
the last
covers
of
it.
my juice.
We pretty much said all there is to say about game music. It like makes or breaks the scenes of games. Like just next time, if you really want to see how much the music impacts a scene, just
Mute it.
shut off the music volume and just watch a cutscene for like a game, for like an emotional part in a game, and like 10 out of 10 times the scene will be shittier without the music.
And I can guarantee you, if it's a game, if it's a scene that you've never seen before, you won't remember that scene.
And also, a backwards test. If you want to see how truly good a scene might be, or how truly good the music is in that scene, turn off the dialogue and just watch the expressions of the characters alongside the music. See
That's
how that
true.
happens. Pretty good.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we're about done with this one.
I'm all out of juice, boys.
But I think we're gonna be
The
coming
juice is
back.
empty.
We're gonna be coming back with another gaming
Yeah.
We're gonna be coming back with another gaming podcast if that's what you guys are into. The next one's gonna be
That's what you sick
covering
fucks
actually
like.
games and a little bit of esports.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. On
All that
esports.
good stuff.
We wanted to talk about all of this today, but I guess it didn't. We got so caught up in the lore.
There's only
This is
the
the
Lorecast. We
Basement
Vegeto'd
Banter
that.
Lorecast.
That was all Vegeto'd.
All right. You want to bring us out, Justin?
Yeah, sure. Everyone, thanks for watching, or I guess not watching, but listening. Man, it's weird saying listening.
Thanks for
rather than
staring at a
watching.
blank fucking screen while you heard us talk for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
you idiot.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
If you want to ask us or give us topics,
Topics are huge.
ask us questions, you can go on our Discord, leave comments. I don't know. You can reach us pretty much anywhere. We got Twitter.
Come find us in the basement. That's where we always are.
Yeah. Find us in your basement.
And not in
If
your
you're
basement, in the basement. It's
No, in your basement.
Oh.
If you're
Well,
new
we're
to
there
the
now.
channel, make sure to subscribe. Send a like, comment, say how good we are, say how bad we are.
Probably
say
how bad we are.
anything.
Tell us
Well,
we suck.
We
If
pretty
you don't
much
tell us we suck, we're gonna assume it's not genuine.
we pretty much answer at any comment. So yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys.
Shout out to Mac. Miller.